Downtown Phoenix. There are demonstrators marching in the streets. We're told as many as 24 have been arrested at this point. You can see pictures behind me. Police in riot gear trying to block the roads. You can see someone being arrested as I speak. This is a live picture coming to us from downtown Phoenix. We're told there hasn't been a lot of resisting arrests. Most people have just gone easily when police have come up to them and tried to arrest them for standing in the middle of the street. ABC 15's Susan Casper tracking this with us as well. She joins us from the Satellite Center. Susan, what's going on?
Well, I can tell you, as you already know, Kirk, this story is really international. It's no longer just a Phoenix story. We have media here from all over the country, all over the nation, all over the world. Alex Stone from ABC Radio was one of those reporters in town this week covering SB 1070. He's joining us now on the phone. Alex, I know you're getting ready to head to L.A., so we appreciate you taking a few minutes with us. What was some of the stories that you uncovered this week?
Well, Susan, yeah, we're downtown right now at First in Washington watching what's going on down here, but it has been the attention of the rest of the country and even internationally as we've been talking to stations around the world about what's going on here with a lot of eyes on what the law is all about. There's a lot of misunderstanding in the rest of the country, as you guys have reported, that a majority of Americans support this law. And yet still a majority of Americans don't seem to understand it, or at least all of the nuances of the law itself. And it was really explaining that and what was leading up to it and what this injunction really means for the law and what appears to be the appeal today to the Ninth Circuit Court in San Francisco.
You are in the thick of it right now. Tell us what you're seeing. What are protesters telling you?
Well, here at First in Washington, they're doing a lot of chanting. We've seen quite a few people who have been arrested here. They're mainly wearing yellow shirts, and a lot of them are not from Phoenix. I just talked to a woman from Northern California who's here, and I said, "You're going to go get arrested?" And she said, "Yes, I am, or if need be." And pretty much what they're doing is walking out, putting their hands behind their back, and being arrested peacefully by the Phoenix Police Department in their chants against the law and against Sheriff Arpaio. The police department here is standing pretty much shoulder to shoulder, wearing their helmets with their face shields down and their batons across their chest. And they're making sure that folks don't cross Washington. And if they do, they're then arrested, put into the plastic hand ties, the type of handcuffs they're using out here, and then put into back of vans where they're being taken off to the jail.
These civil disobedience arrests are really going on all over in the downtown area right now, in front of the jail, in front of the Capitol. What are they telling you? Why are they wanting to be arrested? A lot of folks are saying, they got a small victory yesterday. Why not be happy and relish in that?
Well, that's the question I was just asking one of the protesters here, that there are a lot of folks, especially outside of Arizona, would say, what's the point now that so much of the law is on hold? And they claim because one day it could still become law and it could be tied up in the courts for a long time. They want to make a point that they don't want it ever to be enacted here in Arizona, or some of them will tell you that they don't want any aspect of the law, which the less controversial aspects taking effect early this morning. So
all right, Alex
it's a number of different reasons, but they all have their reasons for being out here.
Okay, ABC Radio's Alex Stone, thank you so much. This is a developing story. I want to get straight over to Kirk. We understand you're following some late-breaking developments.
Yeah, we've got Eric English in the same area of First Avenue and Washington, and we're going to go right to him right now. Eric, what's happening where you're located?
Well, Kirk, we're at the corner of First Avenue and Washington, where cops are finally getting a grip on this intersection. You can take a look over there. They are putting the last protester in handcuffs, these plastic wrap handcuffs that have been out here. They've literally arrested dozens of people, put them in vans, and carted them off. That last one going out there right now. Now, again, officers have finally been able to surround the intersection and break up the crowd that was here earlier. We had hundreds of people in the street, several dozen stuck around and have been taken off to jail. We understand that the crowds have dispersed and are moving down just the street a little bit. We also understand there are some that are also in front of the jail. So we are mobile, and we're going to stay with this crowd, and we'll bring the protesters' action to you throughout the rest of the day.
All right, thank you, Eric. We'll check back in with you in just a bit. Meantime, we want to check in with ABC 15's Jody Heisner, who has also been in the thick of things all morning long. And Jody, it does appear that things are calm around you.
Things are definitely calm right now, especially compared to when all of this first started. I was here as people began flooding into the streets, and let me tell you, it all seems very spontaneous as it's happening. But here with me is Diana Perez. Diana, you're with the Puente movement. Now, you say that this has all been very well orchestrated, has it not?
Well, they had trainings for people that wanted to do these things. They have a legal team. We don't know exactly who's doing it, but we been told, we knew people were outraged at the decision, at the judgment yesterday about a split injunction. So
you guys have helped to organize things to bring people out here, correct?
We helped bring the people out here, but we didn't really know what the planning on the civil disobedience was going to be. We just knew around what time we should bring people to those actions.
And also, you mentioned legal teams. What are the legal teams here exactly for? We see people walking around with the word lawyer right on a badge on their front. Why are they here?
They're here for those people that are getting arrested for civil disobedience, just in case the charges, to protect them and get them out of jail easier. So we have legal observers too, to make sure nothing. Make sure they're not violating any of their rights. So.
All right, thank you very much. Now, by my estimates, what I've counted so far, more than 25 people have been arrested at this point. And as I said, while it all seems very spontaneous as it's happening, these are all very well planned out movements.
All right, Jody, do you sense this is ending, or do you sense it's simply moving into a different location?
It seems we're hearing more and more about spontaneous protests coming up all over the area. So I'm not going to make a guess as to whether this is ending right now, Kirk. It could very well just be moving to a different area.
And we'll be tracking it. Thank you, Jody. Thank you for that update. Speaking of tracking it, if you are headed in the downtown area, you're going to want to avoid it. Michael Haggerty joins us now with a look at the roads in terms of what you should watch out for. Michael.
Yeah, Kirk, this is impacting not just the streets and, of course, that core of downtown, the city and government buildings. Very busy normally this time of the day, but this is also affecting light rail. Let's deal with the streets first. The protest has blocked off Washington Street at the intersection with First Avenue. Best thing to do, if you don't have to be there, don't. Stay north of Van Buren, south of Buckeye, west of 7th Avenue, or east of 7th Street, and you'll not only avoid the issue downtown, but also a lot of the surrounding traffic jams on the closer side streets that are inevitable with a situation like this. Number two, Valley Metro Light Rail tells us that, in fact, at one point, protesters were lying down just 10 feet from the tracks there on Washington. So as a result, they have shut down a leg of Valley Metro Light Rail. If you're riding light rail into downtown from the west and north, you're going to be taken off the train at the Central Avenue station and taken on a shuttle bus down to the 12th Street station, where you'll then continue eastbound. If you're heading in from the other direction, then it'll just be the reverse of that. You'll be taken off the train at the 12th Street station and shuttle bused to the Central station, where you'll then continue on to the north and to the west. So again, big disruptions, city streets and the Valley Metro Light Rail, Kirk.
All right, thank you, Michael. I want to remind you, typically you would be watching Sonoran Living Live at this point, but we are cutting in because of the situation downtown. Demonstrations have gotten somewhat out of hand. There have been possibly, we're reading, as many as 30 arrests right now. ABC 15's Susan Casper joining us from the Satellite Center now. Susan, what do you have for us?
This story is developing. Protesters, as we've been showing you throughout the morning, have been locking arms outside the 4th Avenue jail. We just got a tweet, KTAR Radio, on the phone with Sheriff Joe Arpaio. He tweeted that the 4th Avenue jail is now on lockdown. Again, the tweet came out from Sheriff Joe, who was on the phone with KTAR Radio. The 4th Avenue jail now on lockdown. A lot of protesters outside that jail wanting to be arrested, many of them saying they are having a calm protest, but they are locking their hands and behind them in hopes of being arrested. Also, breaking news just coming over the fax machine here. Congressman Raul Grijalva's Yuma district office is shut down for the day because of recent vandalism. They are reporting a shattered window and a bullet inside of his office in Yuma. It was found today. Police are now investigating this incident. They have not released any more details other than that. But the Yuma office for Congressman Raul Grijalva has been shut down because of vandalism, a bullet, and a shattered window. So we are monitoring the tweets as well as late-breaking developments. We'll bring it back to you, Kirk, and we'll keep you updated.
All right, Susan, thank you. As you just saw, some of the pictures that are coming down through Twitter as we speak here. A lot of people down there documenting this situation. We've got Eric English on the ground right where the action is happening. And Eric, I see a lot of police behind you. Is the police presence pretty large out there at this point?
Oh, Kirk, there's hundreds of police officers down here. They are keeping the streets clear. You can see, look around me, you can see things are finally calming down out here at the intersection of First Avenue and Washington. Those dozens of protesters that had locked arms and refused to move from the intersection have been taken away. They were their wrists were put in plastic cuffs and they were carted off. Again, you can see this intersection open now to pedestrian traffic. They had this blocked off. No word yet on when motor traffic will be allowed to come through here, but as you can see, we have hundreds of officers, hundreds of police vehicles, and a lot of activity down here still. But I understand a large chunk of the protesters that are on the sidewalk have been moving down towards the 4th Avenue jail, so we will see where people are going and if this kind of activity continues. Back to you, Kirk.
Thank you, Eric. And as we've heard, it appears the 4th Avenue jail is on some sort of lockdown status right now. We're working to get more information on that. We will bring that to you as soon as we get it. The Arizona Capital Times, our news partner, just a few blocks away from the Capitol. We've got Jeremy Duda joining us now. Jeremy, have you guys heard of much happening at the Capitol right now? What are you guys tracking?
I've just been following the news as far as what's going on with all the protests. We're more concerned on what's happening with the case. Governor Brewer said the state's going to appeal the decision to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. They're going to appeal Judge Bolton's injunction, hopefully get that overturned.
And Jeremy, you guys have been tracking this for months, if not longer at this point. Are you surprised to see what's happening today, especially considering the temporary injunction that came out yesterday?
I know the protesters said a couple weeks ago that they were going to hold this day of protest regardless of what happened with the decision. So I know a lot of those protesters are still pretty angry at Sheriff Arpaio and some of the other things going on besides 1070.
And any idea when we can expect something from Governor Brewer? The word was that we may see an appeal as early as today. Do you guys expect that?
It's hard to say exactly when they'll file it. They have about 30 days. And once that happens, it could be up to a year before we actually get a ruling out of the Ninth Circuit.
All right, Jeremy Duda with the Arizona Capital Times. Thank you for updating us on some of the political stuff involved that really is fueling what's happening today. What's happening is demonstrators downtown causing a pretty big situation out there. We're told as many as 30 may be arrested at this point. Guys, if you can, pop up my computer real quickly. I want to show you our Facebook page. We've got some photos that are being posted up right now. I believe Corey Rangel, one of our reporters here, is posting these pictures as we speak. You can see the protesters, the demonstrators. You can see the media there taking video. Let me paint this picture real quickly for you. This morning, things were calm. It started at about 5 o'clock. Jody Heisler's been out there since 5 o'clock this morning. Protesters demonstrated. They moved to a church. They had a prayer service. Things seemed pretty peaceful. At about 10:15 this morning, things got out of hand. Demonstrators began to stand in the street. Demonstrators allowed themselves to be arrested. And now it appears that hundreds of people are blocking the 4th Avenue jail, in downtown Phoenix. So we're tracking this. We're going to stay on top of it.